Hi there. Good morning. It's 10:57. Alfredo here for one more episode of our series Uncut English. Just as a quick reminder, when I started creating this series Uncut English, for those of you who are landing on this video here, this is a series in which I encourage my followers to speak English. And so we've got this series called Uncut English. My idea is to turn on my camera, press the recording button, and just start talking about something that I think it's important. It's relevant for those who are seeking to improve their English, to acquire more fluency, and so on. Okay, so the subject for today is it's about the way children learn the language. So if you think about when you're a kid and you're learning your first language, you have nothing else because you have no other language to as a reference. Let's put it this way, because when you're an adult and you're learning a second language, you've got your mother tongue as a reference. And that's why so many people think that translation is helpful. But I'm here to argue otherwise. Because you see, when children are learning a new language, if you think about the way actually they start their learning process is by listening to people around them, namely, I guess, we could say their parents, their family, speaking the language. And basically, that's what they do. They receive the audio input, and of course, this audio input is delivered to them in lots of different contexts. For example, sometimes a child might be at a dinner table with their family, or sometimes the kid might be in the living room watching something on TV, and words, spoken by their relatives, by their family, right, is delivered to them. They're exposed to that language. Okay, and so my contention here is that you start learning by listening. You don't speak, you listen. And then by listening to the same thing again and again, you start making sense of it. You start connecting words with the visual input. For instance, well, of course you don't remember the first time your parents asked you if you wanted a glass of water. But I can bet you that they did that. They offered you a glass of water, talking to you, asking you if you wanted a glass of water, but I'm sure that they showed you a cup, a bottle of water, a jar of water or something. And then by connecting that sound, which was probably presented to you again and again, with the image that was always there was always something that was delivered to you with the word water, until you get to a point when you realize, oh my God, as a child you realize, okay, so water is this thing that I drink. I don't even know the verb to drink, but I do know that instinctively my body needs water. I need to be hydrated, so I need water. So my parents offer me from time to time, and then I learned that when I'm thirsty, drinking that thing satiates it drenches my thirst. And then you learn, okay, so this is water, this is the thing that I drink. I don't even know that it's in the format, it's in the state of liquid, it's in a liquid state. You don't know what liquid is, you don't know anything, right? But you just know that your body needs that thing, and that thing is called water. So that's the first thing you learn. And all of that takes place by you being exposed to the sound of that word and to the visual cue, to the visual input. And you put, as a child, you put those two things together, and then you learn that word. Okay, and then at some point your parents realize that they don't need to show you a cup of water anymore. They don't need to show you a bottle of water. They just need to use the word water. And they ask you if you want a glass of water. And then you answer with your head, like you nod, or you in other words, without words, because let's say you haven't learned how to say no yet. But body language, and then you just use body language to tell your parents that yes, you need a glass of water, or that you don't. And that's how you learn. Okay, so why am I telling you this story about children? Now, the reason why I'm telling you this story about the way children learn the language is that the same thing, the same principle can be applied to the way an adult can learn a second language. The only problem is that there are lots of people out there, and I can understand the argument and I can even respect. It's just that I don't fully agree with it, is that you need translation. I don't think you do. What I think you need as an adult, and unlike children, because teaching children is easier, because children have no preconceived ideas. So you show them anything, whatever you want. You can even show them something complex, because if it's too complex for them, what do? They just abstract it. They don't care, right? But with adults, we have to be careful. But my contention is that the secret to language teaching, for example, I'm talking about my area, right? I work as a language instructor. I teach English as a second language. So what my experience has taught me, and my own experience as a learner of the language, is that you start by being exposed to the sound of the language. And that's why so many people love the idea of working with music, for example. Because everybody enjoys listening to music. And you just enjoy the sound, you enjoy the melody, and you understand nothing many times. But then, if the same song is played again and again, there are sounds, there are words that, it's almost like you start integrating them into a database of sound that you have in your brain. So, as I was saying, I strongly believe that one of the first things that we have to do as teachers, is to expose our students to as much listening material as possible. And again, as teachers, it's our job to find the best material which combines quality sound, or language or vocabulary that is compatible to their level. Because you see, it doesn't make any sense for you to expose a beginner student, let's say a beginner student, to an accent, for example, that is very difficult. Imagine, native English speakers. Let's say you're an American and you go to Scotland and you listen to Scottish people who speak English. You're a Native American. English is it's your mother tongue, and you're still gonna struggle because the accent is very strong and you're not familiar with it. So of course it's needless to say, but I'm saying it anyway. So as a teacher, we have to be very careful to choose the material wisely. So we have to choose speakers that speak very clearly, that do not speak too fast. And that way, when you combine those sets of parameters, right, with the right visual input, you can get something that I think it's very important. which is to give your students a sense of mission accomplished. Like you expose them to that listening material, and you show them a completion exercise. You show them the transcript of that particular listening activity, and you get them to complete gaps in the transcript, and then you ask specific questions based on the context of the story, and so on. And then if you make sure that it's challenging enough so that your student feels that he's making progress, but at the same time not too complex, so that he doesn't feel too frustrated because the number of mistakes and the feeling that he's failing is too strong. That's another very important thing for you to do as a teacher when you're selecting the right material. But I think listening, exposing your students to a vast collection of listening exercises is essential. It's very important. I personally, as a teacher, I do that a lot, and especially recently, I've even emphasized much more on that, and the latest results I have gotten were just mind-blowing. So I'm more than convinced that this is the way to go. So with this idea in mind, for you listeners, for you guys listening to this podcast, the message that I want to leave you with is this: you want to improve your listening, that's what you have to do. So here, for instance, in our platform, we have lots of resource material that you have access to, free material that you can access through the web. You can even download our app, install on your phone, and really, make the most of it. So, for example, why don't you do what I'm doing right now? I'm driving, and on my way to work, I decided to turn on my camera and record this video for our Uncut English series. You can do exactly the same with your, let's call this your listening improvement project, right? So you can do the same thing. You're in your car, you're going somewhere. Instead of just wasting your time, perhaps listening to something stupid on the radio, something that you're not really into, not really interested in, why don't you invest this time on improving your listening skills? Why don't you, for example, find some podcast material, for instance, like our Uncut series, and dedicate this time to improving your listening skills. So that's the message I would like to leave you with. See you in our next episode. Bye bye.